Hello, welcome to class. My name is Sadawin. I will be taking you through the Human Resource Management Professionals Examinations. And for today, we are going to be doing the paper Rchrp 15, which is Human Resource Accounting, Metrics, and Analytics. We are going to do for the paper of June 2023. And so we start. Welcome. In our first question, I'll start with the first question. We have a case study, and I'll take time to read through this case study so that we are able to understand what the case study is saying for us to be able to answer the questions that are coming before this case study. The case study is in line with the Greenlander International Limited, which is abbreviated as GIL. And if I go through, it's a bit detailed, but I think I will get some time to go through so that it sets the basis for us answering the questions. Greenlander International is a private limited company that was registered in Kenya in 2008. Its core business is to manufacture telephone accessories for the African market. At its inception, the company was a sole proprietorship business owned by Mr. Mjanja, who served as a chief executive officer. The business had an initial staffing of 10 employees. So we need to understand these figures. We are talking about 10 employees at initial start. And the annual average revenue was 150,000 shillings. But currently, the company has a market presence in over 50 countries across the African continent. In the year 2012, GIL, we shall be using the abbreviations, received an award as the leader of continuous growth in a dynamic environment. In 2015, the company sold 45% of its 1 million shares at 1 million shillings. I think if you calculate that 1 million shares times 1,000, that brings to a value of 1 billion shillings. To Telephone Partners Limited, a venture capitalist supporting tech companies in Africa. The decision was informed by the need to strengthen the company's capital base in order to sustain its expansion plans. Following the build-up in its capital, 2 new plants, at least we had 2 new plants. In order to sustain, let me take it that again. Following the build-up in its capital, 2 new plants were opened in Uganda and Zambia in 2016. Arising from this operationalization of the new plants, the number of employees increased from 1,240 in 2016 to 1,543 in 2017. That is within a duration of 1 year. Now, the new plants resulted to an increase in average revenue by 20% per year. In the year 2018, GIL's leadership decided to conduct an employee engagement survey and leadership index to determine the competitive advantage arising from the investment in human capital at the company. The survey revealed that employee engagement level was at 65%, which was below the target of 70%. The leadership index was at 50% against a projected score of 80%. Among the complaints raised by employees during the survey were related to remuneration, discriminatory appointment, and promotions, lack of trust in leadership, ineffective procedures, and ineffective communication channels. Based on the findings, the leadership resolved to carry out an organizational redesign exercise to address issues raised in the survey, as well as to promote business growth and competitiveness. The board directed that Mr. Pesa, the head of human resource, should spearhead the implementation of its strategy. Mr. Pesa engaged Hypos consultants to carry out the exercise under the following terms of reference: review the organizational structure, formulate a remuneration and benefit structure, develop a human resource standard operating procedures and a human resource manual, establish a data analysis center of excellence within a human resource department. To gather necessary information, the consultant used questionnaires, face-to-face interviews, and also conducted surveys. So those are the designs that they use to conduct the research and get information. They are possible. He also held meetings with some employees to enhance comprehensiveness. The consultant also benchmarked with both local and international firms. The head of human resource provided monthly project implementation report to leadership team. The consultant completed the assignment within 8 months as specified in the contract document, and on completion, tabled the report before the board of directors. After lengthy discussion, the board adopted the report with minor adjustments. Subsequently, the head of human resource implemented the recommendation, starting with unveiling of new customer-centric organization structure. The implementation cost was capped at 5 million. This included a 3 million to cater for the new reward package as a result of improved employee grading structure. The new grading and salary structure led to changes in pay levels across the various grades as shown below. We can look at that. If you look at the job grade, designation, the previous salary vis-a-vis the new salary that was now adopted. In grade F, the CEO from 800,000 he moves to 950,000. In grade E, the managing director from 650,000 he moved to 700,000. The head of department in job grade D moved from 400 to 430. In job grade C, officers from 200 to 240. In grade B, administration assistant from 100 to 120. Grade A, administration assistant 2 from 50 to 60. So additionally, the board awarded employees house allowance, medical allowances, and paid a 5% pension towards the employee pension scheme. And it's shown in terms of job grade F, the remuneration was 40, medical allowances a total of 2 million, which included pension of 15%. E to 40, 1.5 million, 12%. D 10, remunerative medical allowances of 1 million, pension 10%. C, remunerative 6,000, medical allowance 750, pension 10%. Grade B, there was no, B and A, there was no remunerative, but medical allowances were 500,000 each, and then pension was 6% each. The implementation of new structure also necessitated the upward review of staffing levels as follows. So I think the information is well captured there. We have, in terms of the new and all, moving from all, which was production, which was 950 to 982. We had so we had more employees in that. In sales, we had more employees from 477 to 505. In finance, there was a reduction from 43 to 30. In administration and the HR, also there was a reduction from 49 to 47. ICT, an increase from 14 to 20. Audit from reduction from 10 to 9. In total, all the employees increased from 1,543 to 1,599. And the last statement stated that after implementation of the new structure, Mr. Pesa embarked on the implementation of the new human resource policies and procedures at a projected cost of 2.5 million. This included printing services, sensitization of employees, and related logistics. The final phase of implementation entailed the operationalization of data analysis centers of excellence. After 6 months, the management observed a notable improvement in employees, detailed management, quality of evaluation of human resource programs improved. Improved human resource also. So reports and data-driven decision making, and this enabled the human resource management staff to speak business language as was expected by the management. However, the management team expressed its reservation with the performance management system, which only focused on revenues and customer count. According to the team, this discriminated some employees in the administration of performance-related pay. The team thus advocated for the adoption of an analytical approach to performance management. So in that, to ensure human resource functions was fully integrated with business strategy, the head of human resource generated and analyzed data to inform human resource strategies and decisions. In one instance, Mr. Pesa shared the following data with the employees in the Data Analysis Center of Excellence. The data was enabled or was to enable them develop a strategic human resource report for tabling before the board. You can see the items there. Revenue, there was an increase of revenue from 1,450,000 to 2,890,000. Employee count was also added from 1,567 to 1,750. The turnover or exits was decreased by from 20% to 14%. Employee performance score was improved from 50% to 60%. The leadership index retained at 70%, and engagement level increased by 5% from 70 to 75%. So, after implementation, the management carried out again an employee engagement survey to determine the impact of the intervention. The survey revealed significant improvement in employee engagement levels as well as leadership index. They institutionalized the changes. The leadership team held monthly and weekly department meetings with employees throughout the company. The essence of such meetings was to embed the desired culture, communicate the leadership agenda, and gather employee feedback. Additionally, evaluations of the efficacy of procedures were conducted from time to time. Lastly, during the 2020 to between the 2020-2021 financial year, the company realized a 40% increase in gross revenue, which was attributed to increased productivity from employees due to effective intervention put in place. Consequently, the body awarded employees a bonus of 2.5% of the net profit. The head of human resource developed a criteria for promoting employees based on the prevailing human resource policies and procedures. Wow, that is the case. Now let's go to the first question. We are being asked that to identify the human resource metrics that were used at GIL. Now, when we talk about the human resource metrics, these are the factors that are used to assess and analyze the performance of an organization. Now, when you talk about the human resource metrics at GIL, GIL used several human resource metrics to assess organizational effectiveness. And like, for example, number one, it used employee engagement levels. When you talk about employee engagement levels, as we have been told, this refers to how committed, motivated, and satisfied employees are in their work environment. And of course, we always know that the highly motivated employees are at a position to perform much better compared to a lowly motivated employees. So at GIL, a survey was conducted to assess this metric, revealing that 65% engagement level was below the company's target of 70%. Employees raised concerns in relation to that. The employees raised concerns about remuneration. Of course, probably they thought that the compensation was not equivalent to the amount of work probably they were doing. Discriminatory appointments, lack of trust in leadership, ineffectiveness procedures, and poor communication. So in other words, these factors affected negatively the workplace morale and productivity. So which means that at that point, GIL returns were not that good because the employees were not motivated at their workplace. They felt that they were doing a lot of work, but the remuneration that was coming back to them was not equivalent to the amount of work that they were doing. Similarly, when it comes to appointments, they thought that there were no proper and fair criteria that were used to give promotions, for example. And in terms of leadership, they really had a problem in with their leadership, which means that if the employees do not have trust in the leadership at their work organization, and you know that the leadership is the one that is supposed to guide them in direction, give direction, you know, ensure that they have the vision where the organization wants to go, what they're supposed to achieve. If the employees do not have that trust in the leadership, it means that they're likely to be resisting a lot of directive that they're going to get. And at the same time, as much as the management might come or leadership might come up with strategies, the employees will not feel that these are the right strategies. They cannot support with that. So you see, these factors negatively affected the workplace morale and productivity. And based on the finding, the company undertook an organization redesign to improve engagement levels, aiming to create a better work experience for employees while boosting the overall performance. Which means that in that part, the management identified that the employee engagement levels were not that good. Of course, they were able to conduct research and they found out the reasons as we have clearly stated them. Matrix number 2 is on the leadership index. This matrix assessed the employees' perception of leadership effectiveness at GAIL. In other words, the survey indicated that the leadership index score of 50% was much significant lower than the projected 80%. And of course, from the above point we have mentioned about in the employee engagement level, one of the factors in the employee engagement level was lack of trust in leadership. And when you're talking about the leadership index now, you see the score is proving that at 50%, whereas the projected score for the organization is at 80%. So employees highlighted issues such as favorism in promotions, so which means that the people who got promotions were not justifiable for those promotions or positions that they received. There was inadequate communication, so that employees were not getting information. There were no meetings being held. So sometimes just employees were working in the dark. They had no information in terms of how their performance is going on, what the company is doing and stuff like that. And of course, there was lack of trust in management decisions. So in other words, the employees and other stakeholders probably could not trust that the decisions made by management were good decisions that could spur the organization to success. So these concerns hindered cooperation and organizational ability to maintain a positive work culture. So in other words, you will find that there was some cold war, there was some cold feet between management and probably employees, because as we have seen evidently, is that there was no good relationship between the management and employees. So these concerns hindered cooperation and organization's ability to maintain a positive work culture. As a response, the leadership team worked to address these gaps by improving management practices, fostering transparency, and promoting fair leadership approach, which at the end of the day ended up strengthening the leadership effectiveness, which was very crucial, ensuring that employees' confidence and the organizational stability was regained. Now, matrix number 3, it's about the staffing levels. Staffing levels. The review of the staffing levels was essential in determining the workforce expansion and department specific adjustments. So before the organizational restructuring, GAIL had a total of 1,543 employees. And at this restructuring, we saw that this increased from 1,543 to 1,593 after authorization of new plants in Uganda and Zambia. So this was the largest growth as was observed in production and sales. So as these departments required additional personnel, to support the company's expansion strategy. And meanwhile, the minor staffing modifications were made in finance department, the HR department, administration, ICT, and audit sections by strategically increasing workforce capacity. And by this, GIL ensured that it could meet the rising market demands while maintaining the efficacy across departments. Matrix number 4, it's in terms of remuneration and benefits structure. So adjusting salaries and benefits was a very crucial part of GIL's restructuring to enhance employee motivation and satisfaction. So we saw this by the company implementing new pay structures across various job grades, resulting in salary increment at all levels. For instance, the CEO salary was increased from 800,000 to 950,000, an increase of 150,000, while other roles, including administration assistants and officers, also got a review substantial of salaries. We saw the list administration officer 2 being increased, I think, from 50 to 60, if I'm right. So, additionally, employees were awarded house and medical allowances, along with the improved pension contributions. These revisions in the compensation framework aim to attract and retain talent and boost morale and create competitive work environment. And through evidence, through the statement that we read, we saw that employee turnout reduced significantly. We saw that reducing from I think employee turnover decreased from 20% to 14%, which is a decrease of 6%, which is very good. Another metrics is on performance management metrics. GIL initially relied on revenue and customer count as the primary indicators for assessing employee performance. However, this approach created disparities in rewards, as not all employees contributed directly to revenue generation. So administrative and support staff felt excluded from performance-related pay benefits, leading to dissatisfaction, whereby as much as you are working, you'll find that when you're working in an organization, there's some contribution that you are making to that contribution. But now you find that when it comes to review in terms of performance, you are put aside. Of course, you will feel like the morale, you will be demoralized and all that. So you see, in that aspect where we are talking about the approach created disparities in reward, as not all employees contributed directly to revenue generation. So like the support administration and support staff who are fiscally within the organization and doing their jobs, which might not indirect be related with the returns that are coming, but their jobs are facilitating and creating a conducive environment to ensure that there's a conducive environment for everybody to work. So the administrative support felt like they are being excluded from performance-related pay benefits, leading to dissatisfaction. So as a result, the leadership team advocated for an analytical approach to performance management, where broader criteria such as efficiency, teamwork, innovation, and overall contribution to organizational goals were factored into evaluation. This ensured a fair and more inclusive assessment systems, so that where every employee, right from the top all the way down to the least employee within the organization, is also taken consideration of. We have another metrics of the human resource report quality. This enhancing HR reporting capabilities was a critical component at GIL, is organization transformation. So with the establishment of data analysis centers of excellence, human resource managers gained access to structured employee records, So improved, and what this did, it improved evaluation techniques, and managers gained, of course we have said that, it improved evaluation techniques, and higher quality HR reports were able to be generated. The availability of accurate and comprehensive data enabled the HR teams to make informed decisions, aligning human resource strategies with business objective. So additionally, the HR professionals became more proficient in analyzing workforce trends, thereby reinforcing GIL's ability to optimize talent management practices and implement policies effectively. So the issue of favoritism when it came to promotion was dealt with, and the solution was ensuring that the HR department has got high quality reports that they could use in making the right decision, which in case maybe one of them is giving promotions and all that. And of course, number 7, we have employee turnover rate. We saw which measures the percentage of employees who leave the company annually. The metric is important because high turnover can signal issues such as low job satisfaction, poor working conditions, or ineffective management. Monitoring turnover helped GIL identify retention challenges and develop a strategy to keep valuable employees through the benefits that they gave. We saw from the data that GIL was able to decrease the employee turnover from 20% to 14%. So that was a decrease of 6%. And this decrease came about due to the benefits that were now being given to the employees in terms of the upgrade of their salaries, in terms of the house allowances, in terms of the medical allowances, and the assessment where all employees were factored into remuneration. And we saw where the organization decided to give a 2.5% out of the profit as bonuses for the good performance. And I think the 2.5 performance went all the way from the top management right all to the lowest management, which was the administrative management. And of course, in addition to that, we can talk about employee performance score, which represents how well individual employees meet their work objective, often measured through the key performance indicator. These metrics will or did help GIL evaluate productivity and the effectiveness of its workforce. So it also informed, helped them to make informed decisions relating to promotions, training needs, and performance-based work. And lastly, it's all about the revenue, which is a financial metrics that reflects on the company's income from sales at GIL revenue data, which is used alongside the HR metrics to assess the impact of human resource initiatives on business performance. This helps demonstrate the value of investing in employees and guides strategic decision. So in summary, those are 8 metrics that we have spoken about, or we have discussed, that GIL used. These are the metrics that GIL used in assessing its organizational effectiveness. So we have spoken about employee engagement levels, we have spoken about the leadership index, we have spoken about the staffing levels, remuneration and benefits structure, performance management metrics, the HR report quality, employee turnover rate, employee performance score, and revenue. So, and it's evidence from the information that we have from the case study that we read earlier. It's evidence that we saw a great improvement from the previous performance compared to when this when a survey was done, the problems were identified and solutions were recommended. Now, question 1B. Examine the aspects of data privacy in relation to management of employee information at GIL. So, the different aspects that comes out from the case study that we read, the aspects of data privacy in employee management at GIL. First, we have the confidentiality of employee data. Now, when you talk about confidentiality of employee data, confidentiality is very key, or it's a key principle in managing employee information, ensuring that personal details such as salary, performance evaluation, medical records, and disciplinary actions remain private. At GIL, only authorized personnel such as the HR manager should have access to sensitive employee data. So proper confidential safeguards prevent data leaks that could harm the employee's reputation or lead to discrimination. To reinforce this, the company should implement strict policies regarding how or who can view the and handle the employee records. So we have the aspect of confidentiality of employee data, and you find that mostly when agreements are done and contracts are signed, in most contracts there is a clause on confidentiality that is always given there. Like a proper example, some few days ago, you will find that there's this famous radio presenter who runs a Rumba show, Fred Obach Machoka. Lately, he sued this MCA for Kileleshwa, Robert Alai, for, I think, defamation, if I'm not wrong, having given out wrong data, and he was seeking a compensation of 60 million from Robert Alai. And you see, the argument was like, how did Robert Alai get access to the information or the personal information that is supposed to be considered private? So, like in that part, that private information, like his medical reports and stuff like that, that is private information between the patient and the doctor. And you see, by the case that Robert Alai is saying that he has got of access or proof and all that, preaches the principle of confidentiality in an agreement. So in the same case, it's a very crucial aspect when it comes to data privacy in employee management. Crucial case number 2, data protection measures. Organizations like GIL must comply with data protection laws to prevent unauthorized access or misuse of employee information. So this involves implementing security protocols such as encryption, firewalls, and cybersecurity measures to prevent data breaches. And at the same time, in many organizations, you can find that not all employees can get access to all the data. Every employee within his position of operation, he has a specific limit to what type of data he can access in an organization. So employee data should be stored securely, whether in physical files or digital formats, to minimize risks like hacking or identifying theft. Compliance with national and international data protects standards, not only measures security, but also enhances trust between the organization and its employees. So you saw in a situation whereby we are having a problem whereby we are talking about mistrust of employees with data. I worked in a specific institution, and sometimes when we were working in a specific institution, which was an education institution, now there's some forms that were given to sign. Now, one time, I'm picking a signing sheet, and because the organization wanted to conduct a cost-cutting measure in terms of, using proper stationery and all that, and one time I come across what you call a CV for a colleague. And indeed, and said, this is so and so. This is a CV for a colleague. It has got all the hard details, and she was a lady. It has got all hard details and everything and stuff like that. So we were like, how confidential is this? How did the management get the CV and try to turn the CV into becoming a signing sheet. What level of confidence, privacy is there? Probably this is a document that is going to be accessed by a student, signing and stuff like that. You see, such kind of exploitation of even employee documents and all that, such kind of things, that the ones that make the employees to lack trust on the management, because now you know that there is no information that you can give to management, and the management cannot keep that information. The management cannot protect your information and stuff like that. So Gil, in terms of one cause that may have led to employees lacking trust on the management is exploitation maybe of the employees' data. So organizations like Gil must find or come up with a data protection measure that facilitates and ensures that it protects the privacy of the data. And the privacy of data is not protected, not even only the employees, even data for the customers must all be protected. Consent-based information processing. In terms of data privacy and consent, sorry. When you talk about consent-based information processing, employees should be fully aware of how their personal data is collected, stored, and used within the company. So Gil must ensure transparency by informing employees about data processing policies and obtaining their consent when necessary. For instance, if the company plans to sue employee records for external benchmarking, or not to sue, but if the company plans to use employee records for external benchmarking or research purposes, formal permission must be granted by employees. This prevents misuse of information and promotes ethical data practices when respecting individual rights. So consent-based information processing is very key. I had, I think last year or so, we had a case whereby a school, it was I think primary school, not one, some primary schools went for the trips with their students. Then the school, after the trip, took the pictures of the students, and then they started publishing the pictures of their students in their websites to facilitate marketing and advertisement of their schools, in terms of, look, that we are going to trips to these places and all that. You see, the parents were not happy. Some informed parents went to court. And I had a case whereby the court slammed a certain school a fine of 4 million for breaching the privacy of a student. The parent argued that I did not want my child to be put on social media. Now you are putting him the website and you are arguing and all that. And that is not a case of one institution and many. So like nowadays, now you find that if a school, for example, specifically on that example of the school, if a school is going for a trip, in fact, as parents, you are sent a consent form to sign that you are agreeing to the school management to take pictures of the students, and you are agreeing to the school management to use those pictures in advertising so that they can publish on their websites and all those. So consent-based information processing is very key and very essential. Another aspect is restricted access. Of course, I've mentioned on that. Not all employees need to access sensitive HR information. The limiting access helps safeguard privacy. At Gil, employee records should be accessible only to relevant HR personnel, senior management, and authorized consultant working on HR-related projects. Implementing user authentication system, secure logging credentials, and role-based access ensures that data is only available to those with legitimate reasons to view it. Unauthorized access could lead to data leaks, favorism in promotions, and other unethical practices. I had one of our main footballer, Dennis Olich. One time he was on the interview, with some sports journalist, and this journalist was asking him a question in relation to the remunerations that is always done to the footballers, professional footballers in Europe and in different parts of the world. So we were like, majority of people get information from the media that a certain player assigned for this club, he assigned for this amount of salary and stuff like that. But according to the professional, Dean Solich said that the salary of every footballer, every player, that is a secret information between him as the player and the top management to whom he had negotiated with, of the club management to whom that he had negotiated with and agreed upon. So the always information that comes out, that information is not real information. It's a presumption. It's a kind of a presumption information where people presume that this employee has, has agreed on these terms and all that. But the real figure, even the journalist was saying that even the fellow players do not know what each player earns. That is secret information and all that. In an organization, there's no law that states that any employer should get to know another employee. Any employee should get to know another employee salary. The agreement and negotiation and signing of the contract is between the employee and the HR manager or officer within that position. So that information should be put confidential to that level. Secure storage. There should be proper data storage mechanisms which should be very essential in maintaining privacy and integrity. Like Guild should use encrypted servers and secure databases to store employee information digitally, reducing risks associated with cyber threats. And additionally, fiscal records should be kept in locked cabinets with the control access to prevent unauthorized handling. And regular audits of the system updates help maintain security, ensuring that confidentiality or confidential information does not fall into wrong hands by prioritizing secure storage. So Guild can uphold data privacy and protect employee trust. So there must be secure storage. We are in an era whereby the world is shifting from storing paper hard copy information. We are in a world whereby majority of the organizations are moving into storing information in the cloud. So Guild should get a good server system where it can be able to store its information. And of course, when you talk about encryption of information, is trying to, when you encrypt data, is a situation whereby you change the information from being real text, in that it comes into a way that it's encrypted. It is put in a system whereby even if somebody reads, he cannot be able to understand what it is unless you have a security code. Once you put that security code is when you can be able to encrypt that information into becoming a text information. Then we have compliance with regulations, which means that Guild must adhere to the applicable laws governing data protection, such as the Kenya's Data Protection Act, and possibly international regulations like the GDPR if employee data crosses borders. So compliance ensures that data handling practices meet legal standards, helping the company avoid fines, legal actions, and the loss of trust on employees. Of course, we have other points which include, I can be first on this, transparency, which requires Guild to openly communicate with the employees about the types of personal data collected, the reasons for its collection, and how it will be used. So what rights employees have regarding their information, all that. This openness will build confidence and will ensure that data collected is ethical and fair. And of course, we have purpose limitations. This ensures that employees' data is only used for specific HR purpose, such as evaluating performance, determining remunerations, or planning development programs. GIL must avoid using the data for unrelated purposes, which could violate privacy principles and employee trust. And then we have data accuracy and integrity, means that GIL must keep employee records accurate and up to date. Inaccurate data can lead to wrong decisions, such as unfair promotions, like what we had from the survey that was conducted, incorrect salary payment, and erroneous performance assessment, which could harm employees and the organization at large. And of course, retention and disposal. Policies define how long employees' data is kept and when it should be securely destroyed. Keeping data longer than necessary increases the risk of breaches and violate privacy principles. GIL should have clear timelines for safety disposing of data that is longer or that is no longer needed. And lastly, the audit and monitoring, which are ongoing processes whereby should be ongoing processes whereby GIL regularly reviews data handling practices to ensure compliance with privacy policies and detect the breaches or vulnerabilities. Now, let's move to the second last question in this first part. Question number C. HIPO's consultant carried out a certain exercise both locally and internationally. Justify the need for the exercise. From the information that we read above, we were told that HIPO's was tasked. Where was that? Sorry, just some patience. Yeah, the statement is here that the board directed that Mr. Pesa, the head of human resource, should spearhead the implementation of its strategy. Mr. Pesa engaged HIPO's consultants to carry out the exercise under the following terms of reference. First, review the organizational structure. Then second, formulate a remuneration and benefits structure. Then third, develop a human resource standard operating procedures and a human resource manual. And then fourth, establish a data analysis center of excellence within the human resource department. So our question now in that part is, justify the need for these exercises. So justification of HIPO's consultant exercise, which was just about HIPO's to benchmark the HR practices both locally and internationally, is that first, HIPO's needed to, there needed to be a comparison between GIL's HR framework with global best practices. So in other words, GIL wanted to do a comparison in terms of what they're doing vis-a-vis what other global successful companies are doing, so that they are able to learn from the best practices. So benchmarking GIL's human resource policies against both local and international standard was very essential to understand how the company compare to industry leaders. So by examining the best practices worldwide, HIPO's consultant could identify areas where GIL HR framework was either ahead or lagging behind. So this exercise helped the company refine its policies, ensuring that employee engagement, compensation structure, and operational procedures were aligned with successful global organization, which ultimately strengthened its competitive in the African market. And of course, we saw the results that came after the recommendations that were given on that. Second justification is that It needed to identify the gaps in remuneration, employee engagement, and management structure. So one of the key purposes of the benchmarking exercise was to pinpoint the weaknesses within the GIL's existing HR structure. So by analyzing compensation trends across different industries and regions, HIPO's consultant identified disparities in remuneration and benefits that could hinder employee satisfaction and retention. And you saw the outcome was like, at the end of the day, we had an increase when it comes to compensation and of course other benefits, like now bringing in the housing allowances and the medical allowances. So additionally, the assessment shed light on gaps in employee engagement, leadership effectiveness, and operational efficiency. So this allowed GIL to implement targeted solutions such as restructuring its salary gradings, enhancing communication channels, and of course refining leadership practices. Thirdly, ensure the other third justification is that it ensures competitiveness in talent retention and acquisition. We saw this by decreasing the employee turnover from 20% to 14%. So in a competitive job market, organizations must offer attractive employment terms to retain the top talent and attract skilled professionals. So HIPO's consultant's benchmarking exercise allowed GIL to evaluate how its hiring, retention strategies, and employee benefit compared to leading employers in Africa and internationally. So, by aligning the HR policies with industry trends, GIL positioned itself as a desirable workplace, ensuring that highly qualified individuals were drawn to the company while current employees remained engaged and motivated. Another fourth justification is that that benchmarking aligned HR policies with industry standards, promoting efficiency. So efficiency in human resource management is very crucial for organization success. And benchmarking enabled GIL to assess whether its policies met global and local standards. So through comparison with other firms, the company could determine whether the operational structures, performance evaluation methods, and employee development programs were effective or they needed to be adjusted. So standardized policies reduce inefficiency, they create transparency, and at the same time, they streamline the HR function, allowing the company to optimize workforce productivity and maintain a structured approach to employee management. Fifth, we have strengthened leadership effectiveness through tested strategies. So a strong leadership framework fosters a productive workforce and enhance employee morale. So the benchmarking exercise allowed GIL to study proven leadership models from successful organizations, providing insight into how leadership can positively impact workplace culture. So by adopting these best practices from companies that excel in leadership effectiveness, GIL could refine its approach to managerial decision making, employee trust building, and of course team dynamics. So other justification, we have cultural relevance, which is very essential in that any new HR policies or practices are appropriate to the local context where GIL operates, because we saw, of course, GIL opening a branch in Uganda and Zambia. The exercises balances international standards with respect to the local customs and labor laws, which helps designing policies. Next, we have innovation and the continuous improvement. This comes from the exposure of new ideas and evolving HR trends worldwide. So benchmarking enabled GIL to introduce innovative HR practices that promoted creativity, efficiency, and of course adaptability, whereby it helped them supporting their ongoing business growth and employee development. Of course, we had risk mitigation is another justification. This is achieved by learning from the experiences of other companies. So by understanding the challenges and mistakes others face in implementing HR policies, GIL could also avoid similar pitfalls and reduce the risks and increase the likelihood of successful policy, which of course what happened. Cost efficiency, which results from adopting methods that have been proven effective and efficient by other organizations. So this allows GIL to optimize its use of resources by investing in HR processes and technologies that yield the best returns. Employee satisfaction, this will help the GIL management or HR to improve its HR policies and align them with the modern practices that emphasize on fairness, transparency, and employee well-being. And lastly, we have strategic alignment, which ensures that HR initiatives support the GIL's broader business objectives, such as expansion and increased market share. Lastly, in this first question, the last question is that the leadership of GIL advocated for an alternative approach to performance management. Explain the steps that should be followed when implementing the approach. When you talk about the steps for implementing an analytical approach to performance management, we have different steps. First, we start by defining clear performance metrics. So, define clear performance metrics. Traditionally, GIL's performance management was centered on revenue and customer count in terms of how much they were making, how many customers they had, which overlooked the contributions from non-sales employees who felt that they were not fairly treated. So the first step in the new approach is to establish a well-rounded performance metrics that consider multiple dimensions, whereby this could include productivity levels, innovation, efficiency, teamwork, and leadership effectiveness. So by defining clear, inclusive criteria in terms of how performance analysis will be evaluated across all the departments and all the employees being involved, will promote or promoted fairness in terms of evaluation. So this ensured that everyone's contribution was taken, was considered, and the organization success was attributed to every person's contribution. Then number two, use data analytics. In other words, implementing HR analytics tools enables GIL to objectively assess employee performance based on comparative data insights. Remember, the first time they used, they did not use data analytics. It did not give good reports. But now when they used HR analytics tools, when they were able to assess the specific data, they were able to get comprehensive data. So advanced data analysis techniques such as tracking work efficiency, project success rates, and employee engagement levels provides a deeper understanding of individual and team contribution. These analytics can also highlight the trends, helping management to make informed decisions about performance improvement strategies, and also identify employees who may need additional support or training. Then number three, we had encouraged employee feedback. So employees should play an active role in shaping performance evaluation standards. This is by creating an open channel for feedback, such as surveys, forums, and regular one-on-one discussions and all that. So GIL allows employees to express concerns and suggest improvement. This ensures transparency in the performance management processes and fosters a culture of collaboration. So employees who feel heard and valued are more likely to engage in their work, leading to better outcomes for both the company and its workforce. And we saw this by now knowing that now GIL was having monthly and weekly meetings. So that helps to collect feedback and get information. The next, number 4, integrate competence-based assessment. Beyond the numerical, which we said as the second use of data analytics, integrate competence-based assessment. Beyond numerical performance indicators, evaluate qualitative factors like creativity, teamwork, and leadership, which are very essential. Competence-based assessment ensures the employees are recognized for skills that contribute to long-term success, such as problem-solving abilities and adaptabilities. For example, a finance officer might not directly generate revenue, but plays a critical role in ensuring financial stability. So by incorporating broader competence into performance evaluations, GIL can create a more balanced and motivating system. And 5th is implement now periodic reviews. Continuous improvement in performance management requires regular reviews to ensure that evaluation criteria remain relevant. So GIL should establish a periodic assessment cycles, whether quarterly or annually, to analyze the effectiveness of the new system. So these reviews will provide an opportunity to refine metrics, addressing emerging challenges and ensure alignment with the organizational goals. And 6th, align rewards with performance outcomes. So performance-based rewards should reflect the employee's overall contribution rather than focusing on sales figures alone. So that is why you find that in GIL, at that first point, the non-sales employees, like the administrative employees and all that, they felt left out when it comes to rewards or rewarding. So this involves restructuring incentives to consider diverse achievements such as leadership, teamwork, operational efficiency, and innovation. So fair and transparent reward distribution ensures that employees feel valued, reducing frustrations and improving workplace morale. Then, of course, we have communicate the purpose. It's a very crucial and clear. It's very crucial to clearly communicate the objective and benefits of a new performance management system to all employees. This will help avoid resistance. This transparency helps build trust and buy-in by explaining how the system will work and why changes are needed and how it will ultimately benefit both the employees and the company. And then, of course, train managers and employees. So both managers and employees need thorough training on how to effectively use a new performance system, which is also a requirement when it comes to labor laws, that employees needs to be developed all through year in, year out. So this training should cover how set meaningful goals, provide constructive feedback, and understand the evaluation process. Then link performance to development. Performance evaluation should identify employees' strengths and areas needing improvement. So which can then inform personalized training and clear development plans in terms of when you try to link performance and development. So next, second last is about monitor and analyze data. Have a continuous monitoring and analyzing the data in relation to performance. So data allow management to detect patterns, disparities, and of course emerging issues early on. It's good to be proactive and not reactive. Identify the issues earlier, look for solutions earlier. It enables or it will help the GIL management to make informed decisions about the workforce planning, identify high performance, and all those. And lastly, adjust and improve. So finally, the system should be flexible and open to feedback from employees and managers, regularly refining and improving the performance management of the work. So I think that is it. It has been a long session, but that is it for the 4 questions in our first case study.
So if you like this video, you can always enroll with us. You'll be able to access more of these revision sessions, and also you'll be able to find well done lectures or pre-recorded videos for all the KASNEB courses as well as CHRP. And in case of anything, you can always reach us out. We have our contact details on the screen. Feel free to call, feel free to WhatsApp anytime. So thank you, and let's meet in our next session.